How do you feel about taking showers? Is it something that you actually look forward to and you enjoy, or is it just a necessary chore that you have to get done? The reason I bring this up is because I've always thought that the reason that I enjoy taking long showers is because it gives me a space to clear my mind and to think. And I realized recently that that's not the actual full reason. The real reason is because it allows me a space to allow my mind to wander, right? And it helps that like showers, who doesn't feel good taking a nice hot shower? But what's really important to me is having a space to allow my mind to wander. And this mind wandering thing, I've realized there's a lot of value in it for me. Sometimes I do it when I'm in bed. Sometimes I do it when I'm laying on the couch, just staring at the ceiling. Sometimes I'm going for a walk by myself and I do it. And sometimes I just step out onto the balcony, look off the edge into the distance, and just let my mind go wherever it goes. The reason I want to talk to you about this is because there is a beauty in letting your mind wander. And the beauty is in that it's the easiest way to allow yourself to be taken to a place that you've never been. As long as it's done intentionally and you create a space to let it just happen organically. And I want to share with you an example of just that experience in just a moment. Letting your mind wander is sort of the opposite of what we usually do, right? Because usually we're focused on the task. Boom, 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 get it done. On to the next thing. Okay, what's the next thing? Okay, focus, don't get distracted, right? We view a wandering mind as a bad thing, which I realized when I started Googling it and trying to see what people are saying about it, and everything's negative. Everything's about how to stop a wandering mind, how to overcome a wandering mind, how to stay focused and keep your mind clear. But the reason a wandering mind is a burden on most people most of the time is because their mind's wandering when they didn't want it to during responsibilities. Maybe you're in class and you're supposed to be paying attention, or you're studying and you don't want your mind to wander because you want to focus on the stuff you're paying attention to. Or maybe you're watching your kids, or maybe you're having a conversation with somebody one-on-one, and as they're talking, your mind starts wandering and going someplace else, and you constantly have to bring it back, right? Like, nobody wants that. During a conversation is not the time that you want to take your brain off the leash and let it roam free. I've run into that problem plenty of times, and then what I realized is that I wasn't giving myself enough free, unrestricted time to just let my mind wander and explore itself. This thing we have, this brain, it's a creative, almost miraculous tool that we don't even understand. And when you don't give it that space, it's going to force it upon you. And a lot of times it's going to be in situations where you didn't want it to happen. I view it kind of like neglecting to give yourself sleep. Like, sure, you can go 2 days without getting any sleep. I mean, you'll be fine, but the sleep will be forced upon you. And it might be at a time that you don't want it to happen. Like if you're driving or something. And so it's the same thing with letting your mind wander. Like, when's the last time you gave yourself 10, 15 minutes of uninterrupted time to just sit or lay there and not think about something, not to sleep, but just to let your mind expand where it goes? And when I say uninterrupted, I don't mean like in a way where your kids aren't interrupting you or your dog's not interrupting you. I mean like you are not interrupting you. When your mind starts going somewhere, you don't try to correct it, you don't judge it, you don't try to stop it and pull it back. You just watch it and you just let it go off. When's the last time you did that, right? Most people, probably not often. As a type of thought experiment, I thought it would be cool to, while making this video, allow my mind to just wander and attempt to talk through it and to see where it goes, just to show you how interesting it is when you let your mind wander uninterrupted. I've never done this before. It probably is gonna feel kind of weird. Might not be good at verbalizing it, but let's try and see what happens, right? So I'm gonna start with a pink elephant and then we'll go from there. So I think of a pink elephant and it reminds me of the show called Pocoyo that I was watching a lot when I was trying to learn Spanish. I'd watch, it's a kid's show, and I'd watch it in Spanish to try to learn some fundamental Spanish skills and then move forward from that and just train my ears. And in that show there's either there was a pink elephant or it just reminds me of a pink elephant. When I was in Thailand, I went to an elephant jungle sanctuary where like kind of retired elephants that needed protection would go and they let them live off the land. It was an interesting experience because they give us like bananas and different plants to eat, and we handmade food and would go down and literally feed it to the elephants. And you know they'd pull it out of your bananas out of my pockets, or search my body for food, and it's cool because you could play with them. We bathed them. We went into this little lake, and like you're literally playing with elephants in the water, and they know that you're there. They won't lay down or do something to crush you. They're smart, intelligent animals. There's a lot of smart, intelligent animals, like a lot of giant, the orcas. Orcas are one of the most intelligent creatures on Earth, and most people would never know that. Yeah, I actually believe that it's possible that orcas are more intelligent than human beings. They actually just lack the ability to show it to us because they don't have fingers like we do. They're not on firm land, so they're constantly floating, but you see their intelligence and the strategies they use to be at the top of their food chain. But I think about often that if you put an orca's brain and somehow could put it into a human, we'd be able to see just how incredibly brilliant they are. Evolution is a funny thing because orcas, they developed in an environment that allows them to flourish, but we can't effectively communicate with them. Life is interesting like that. You have different forms of life that evolved through different evolutionary branches, and trying to connect them, trying to communicate between them is so difficult. We often look at our dogs as part of our family and think that they're somewhat intelligent, that they're aware, that they have personalities, but plants are the same thing. Plants are just a different way that life evolved, and they have their own dominance. Viruses are dominant in their own way. Mycelium, mushrooms, like fungus, one of the most dominant organisms in the world. Life is interesting. Makes me think of life exists on other planets, other galaxies, other universes. It makes you wonder about what life really is and what the meaning of it is. Sometimes I think life itself, that the universe itself is nothing more than an experiment to take different environments and different elements and just put them in different universes, different galaxies, different solar systems. And the Big Bang itself wasn't the start of the universe. It was just a stage, a next step in the universe. And humans are just one out of many, I guess, progressive outcomes of that experiment. And sometimes I wonder if we're being watched just to see how far we've come. And if we are, it's possible that humans aren't actually that interesting. Maybe the orcas are more interesting. And me and Danielle often talk about this. Maybe the fungus and how it dominates the earth is more interesting. So, people talk about God, and sometimes I think if there is an intelligence, that it's more so that intelligence is a scientist. But who knows what the experiment is trying to figure out. Maybe we're just part of it. Maybe we are it. It gets far-fetched. like that. I was letting my mind wander, and that's what I do a lot. And like we started with a pink elephant, and then you start talking about the universe. It's an interesting thing. I'm sure if you started with a pink elephant and let your mind wander and just watched it, it would go to a completely different space than where mine went. But there's beauty in that. Not dictating and just seeing where it goes. I think when you hear about people like great inventors or just brilliant people, creative people that purposely go and put themselves in a cabin for 2 weeks by themselves and they completely cut themselves off from the rest of the world, that's what they're doing. That's what Einstein would do. That's what you hear about like Steve Jobs doing. Like you hear people that are great thinkers, they know the value of isolating yourself and just letting your mind do its thing. Just expanding and seeing where it goes. Let it go on an imaginative journey. And they know that a lot of great creative ideas doesn't come from intentionally thinking, trying to find a solution. It comes from just knowing that there's something that you want to solve, knowing that there's questions you want answers for, but not going into, wandering mind sessions with that goal, but just seeing where it takes you. Sometimes where it takes you is completely a completely unrelated thought from where you really wanted to go. But that unrelated thought is what gives you the secret to the thought that you wanted to have. You hear about it a lot with creative people, and the power of isolation and solitude and letting your mind wander. To me, it's moments of allowing your mind to wander. That's where creativity lives, and in a really intense abstract thought lives. And the thing is, everyone is capable of it. That's the thing, everyone's capable of it. But when you're a child, it often gets like disciplined out of you. Because what do people do with their children? It's focus. Do what I say. Stop doing that. Stop daydreaming. Get over here. And when we're children, we all have these marvelous minds where we're just full of wonder, and our imagination is just at its peak. It's just flourishing. And then over time, we get disciplined out of it. We get domesticated, and our mind's no longer the wild west where it can just flourish. And we become a little stale in our thinking. As a child, you couldn't help but find time to let your mind wander. And then as adults, a lot of people just completely lost it. There's beauty, there's depth, there's fascination, there's wonder in allowing your mind to wander. and you you reconnect to your inner child when you let your mind wander. I'm well aware of how corny it sounds, but when you let your mind wander and you get into this state where you're just riding this wave of imagination, you're in a way you're connecting with the universe. In the same way the universe expands, when we let ourselves have times where we're not suppressing our mind, but we're letting go of it and just letting it do what it does, it starts to expand as well. And it's almost like a spiritual experience if you really think about it. That we have this mind that has all this information, and it creates images, and it leads to places that we didn't expect it to lead to. We didn't tell it to go there, but we have these thoughts that just pop in unintentionally. Like people think it's crazy how the heart beats by itself unintentionally. Well, think about your mind. Think about when you dream. The mind is an amazing space. So when you give it, it just makes sense to me that we should be giving it time to expand and see where it goes. Obviously, I'm not saying to go into a mountain and be a hermit or be a monk and just sit there and let your mind expand until you reach enlightenment or whatever. No, I'm not saying that. I know we have responsibilities, and of course, here in the real world, we got things to do. All I'm saying is, what would it be like if you could give yourself 10, 15 minutes a day to just sit and let your mind go without directing it, and just watching it and seeing what happens, seeing where your minds go, see what ideas you have, see what thoughts you run into. If you don't have 10 or 15 minutes a day, and if you really believe that, you probably have 10 or 15 minutes a day. You probably do. But if you don't, do what I do. When you take a shower, just extend it a little bit. Just let your mind, just lay your head on the wall of the shower, close your eyes, and as that warm, comfortable water is hitting the back of your back, just see where your mind goes. Let go and just let it escape and see what happens. There's beauty in letting your mind wander. I'm telling you, there's beauty in it. The ideas, the thoughts, the inspirations, the realizations, the insights you get from it, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I'm sure you'll see it. For me, a lot of the video ideas and the thoughts that I come across, it comes from just letting my mind wander. It's not like I'm particularly deep or anything. I think I spend more time in a wandering mind state than the average person does. So I come across things that I find insightful, or things that I've learned combine, and it comes up with a completely new idea that I never thought about before. I don't know where it comes from. It comes from that expansive space of my wandering mind. And I think it's beautiful. As much as I'm aware that what I'm about to say sounds super cliche and like guru fake woke, sometimes the answers you're most looking for in life are going to be found in places that you're least willing to look. And in my view, letting yourself have uninterrupted time to let your mind wander is one of those places where you might come across something, a thought, a realization that is the very thing that you're looking for, that you receive from yourself, the very thing you're looking for that can change your life, that can transform your life. It's important that it's uninterrupted. You're not guiding your thoughts, you're just watching your thoughts. You're watching your thoughts as an observer, not a dictator. You're not dictating where your thoughts go. In this moment of wandering thoughts, you're letting your mind just go and you're just watching it. You're just kind of looking around the corner and just seeing what you see. There's a really great book about this, not about this topic, but about watching your thoughts, called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, I think his name is. Great book. I highly recommend it. Well, I don't know about you, but I enjoyed this conversation, and I would love to hear your thoughts about this. Have you ever let your mind wander? Just having time where it's uninterrupted, undictated, and you just see where it goes? What were your thoughts about this or on this topic in general? Let me know down in the comments. And if you like this video, I made another video before called The Power of Solitude. I'll link it right here. It really ties into this topic, so I think you'll enjoy that. And I just want to thank you for watching. See you in the next video.